Act 5, Scene 3 of Romeo and Juliet. This is the last scene in Romeo and Juliet. We've waited the whole play for this moment. This is where things just get crazy, y'all. So this video might be a little bit longer than all the others. So we start this scene off in the churchyard, in the graveyard where the Capulet tomb is. And Paris is on his way with his servant. Paris is there to say goodbye to Juliet. He's there to anoint her grave with some oils and leave some flowers. And Paris is like, you know what? He tells his servant, I'm going to talk. I want you to go over to the side. And if you hear anybody coming, I want you to whistle. Okay? And his servant says, okay, that's fine. And so Paris walks over to the tomb. He's talking to it. And then he hears a, and so Paris is like, oh, crap. Okay, I got to go to the side. And so Paris kind of hides in the bushes. There's a lot of bush hiding in this play. And he's hiding and he's watching. And who walks into the play, who rides in on his horse? Romeo. And behind him is Balthazar, his servant. And so here Romeo is there to kill himself. And he tells his servant, he says, I want you to go, Balthazar. You have been so good to me. But if you come to see what I'm going to do, then I will tear you joint by joint and I will strew your bones all over this graveyard. Okay? So, like, don't come find me and don't try to stop me. And Balthazar says, oh, okay. And then Romeo says, live well and prosper, which is a line from Star Trek, which makes me wonder if Star Trek got that from Romeo and Juliet. Don't know, but anyways, live well and prosper. Anyway, so Romeo, while he's there at the grave, he's like trying to take a crowbar and pry the tomb open, and Paris says, stop! You are Romeo! You killed Tybalt! You're here to destroy Juliet! And Romeo was like, bruh, you just interrupted me. Like, please go away. I promise you, I don't have any ill business here. Just go away and don't hang another sin upon my head, Paris. And so Paris has to do the honorable thing. It would have been very dishonorable of Paris to just kind of back away and go away, because Romeo tells him, why don't you leave and tell him that a madman basically like threatened you. And Paris is like, no, I'm gonna fight you. And so here we have Juliet's suitor Paris and Juliet's husband Romeo. They fight at the tomb. Romeo kills Paris. And then we have another dead body. And so it's important to know this, that in a lot of films, they don't show Paris at the tomb and they don't show Romeo killing Paris. Apparently, like, it kills the crunk of the suspense for some reason. In a lot of the film interpretations, but it's important for you to know that in the actual play, Romeo kills Paris. And so then as Paris dies, his last words to Romeo are, please, Romeo, take my body and lay me next to Juliet in the tomb. And Romeo is like, yeah, right. I'm not going to lay another man next to my wife. But anyways, Romeo is respectable enough. He takes Paris's body and he lays him like in the door of the tomb. Like, he puts him in the tomb, but not next to Juliet. And then Romeo walks into the tomb. And y'all, I love reading this last part. The language is beautiful. And also we have a moment of dramatic irony. What is dramatic irony? It's when the audience knows more than the characters on stage. It's when the audience knows more than the movie characters. And so we all know that Juliet is not dead. Does Romeo know that? No. But there are some signs that Romeo could have picked up on if he wasn't so delirious and upset about Juliet's death. Okay? And so after he lays Paris in the tomb, he finds Juliet. And he is like laying next to her and he's like stroking her face and telling her, Juliet, thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks. So y'all, what color is crimson? It's like a red color. He says, there's crimson in your lips and in your cheeks. That would mean she has blood flow in her face, right? but he's not picking up on this. This is dramatic irony. This is where the audience is on the edge of their seat going, Romeo, you idiot, she's awake. And so Romeo is like, oh, is there crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks? And death's pale flag is not advanced. They're like, you're not pale yet. You don't even look dead, Juliet. Juliet, you're so beautiful even when you're dead that you don't even look dead. That's because she's not dead. Anyways, that's dramatic irony. And so this right here, he's holding his vial, and he's like, eyes, look your last, arms, take your last embrace, and lips, oh, your doors of breath, seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Come, bitter conduct, come, unsavory guide, thou desperate pilot, now at once run on the dashing rocks thy seasick weary bark. Here's to my love, and in brackets it says drinks. O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick, thus with a kiss I die. So he kisses her, and then he dies. He falls to the side. And so Romeo's body is laying next to Juliet, and Juliet is just now like waking up. So if you've ever had surgery and you've been on anesthesia, you know that stuff is like, you have like the best nap ever. Like, it's almost like if you take like a really good nap, now, which I know some of you sleep till like 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. It's like if you're in a really good deep sleep and you just can't wake up and you're just, things are kind of fuzzy. This is Juliet. She's coming out of a really deep sleep. And Friar Lawrence comes in and he looks at Balthazar and he's like, oh my gosh, whose body is this here? It's Paris. Balthazar, where's Romeo? And Balthazar's like, I ain't going in there. He threatened my life. He said he would take my bones and throw them all over this graveyard. So Friar Lawrence runs into the vault and he finds Juliet, and Juliet is waking up, and Friar Lawrence is looking at Romeo, and he's like, oh my gosh, Romeo is dead. This is tragic. What do I do? And Juliet's like, oh, Friar. Hi, Friar. Where is my love? Where's my Romeo? And Friar Lawrence is like, well, you know what? I hear a noise. We've got to go. And then Juliet is like, Friar, where's Romeo? And then Juliet is like, Friar, I can't go with you. Because Friar Lawrence is like, come on, Juliet. I hear people coming. And actually, it's like the police officer. It would have been like the chief watchman and stuff. That's what they would have called the police officers. I hear the police coming. We have to go. And Juliet's like, I'm not going with you, Friar. I'm going to wait on my Romeo. And then she sees a cup laying beside her. And then she sees Romeo laying beside her. And she's like, what? What is going on here? What's here? A cup closed in my true love's hand? Poison, I see, hath been his timeless end. Oh, churl. And then she throws it. Drunk all and left no friendly drop to help me after. I will kiss thy lips. Haply some poison yet doth hang on them. So y'all, she's like, maybe if I kiss Romeo's lips, I can get some of the poison off of his lips and I can die too. And then she kisses him and then she goes, oh, thy lips are warm. Like, oh my God, he just died. Oh my gosh. And then a chief watchman, she hears the police officer coming. She's like, yeah, noise. Oh no, I hear a noise. What am I going to do? And then she sees Romeo's dagger laying next to him. She says, yeah, noise? Then I'll be brief. Oh, happy dagger. And then she snatches Romeo's dagger. And then she says, this is thy sheath, the rust, and let me die. And then she stabs herself. You still think it's a love story? Do you? Okay. So yeah, so now we've got Romeo and Juliet are both dead. Paris is dead. Tybalt's dead. Mercutio's dead. We still got one more person that's gonna die. FYI. That rhymed. That was a couplet. Whoop. All right. So, anyways, the chief watchman comes in and he's like, what happened? And then who do they ask? Well, they ask Romeo's servant what has happened. He explains to them. And then Prince comes in, Lord Montague comes in, Lord Capulet comes in, and Paris is obviously dead. But the prince says, you know, I see your son and I see some other people, like, what is going on? And then Montague is like, oh my gosh. And they're like, Lord Montague, where's Lady Montague? And Lord Montague says, oh, she died too. She died because Romeo was banished from Verona. She died of sadness. Okay. And so there's where our last person comes in. We've got Tybalt, Mercutio, Romeo, Juliet, Paris, and Lady Montague. Okay, so we have a lot of deaths that have occurred here, and so the prince basically says, he looks at Lord Montague and Lord Capulet, and he's like, "Look at what y'all have done. This is because of you, Friar Lawrence. What happened? Because Friar Lawrence comes back because he gets to feeling guilty because he just pieced out and left Juliet by herself." And Friar's like, you know what? Y'all know I'm a noble man. Let me just explain to you what happened. He tells them everything. And he says, if you want to execute me, go ahead. And then the prince is like, you know what, Friar Lawrence? We've had enough death here. Like, what good would your death do? Death only brings us sadness. It doesn't bring us joy. You were just trying to help them. And so basically here, at the end of this play, Lord Montague and Capulet, they shake hands and they say, this has been tragic that both our children have had to die because of this terrible grudge that we have had for decades, and we don't even know why. And so I love this last line of the play. And so the prince says here, a glooming peace this morning with it brings. The sun for sorrow will not show his head. Go hence to have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned and some punished. For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo. And then they exit all. And so one important part here is that the prince makes is that all are punished. He says all are punished. So who's punished for this tragedy of deaths? Everybody. Everybody's been punished. Everybody played a part. Everybody could have stopped it. Almost everybody. But he says everybody is punished because of it. And so never was a story of more woe than of this Juliet and her Romeo.